Speaking of the human part of the discussion, now we can talk about the non-human part because Sydney's got some AI news.
Yeah, well, there's just been I think my algorithms got me this week because I went down one road and then they just kept feeding it to me the rest of the day. But essentially we continue to just see a rise of really convincing deep fakes. There's been more essentially tools that have come out in the last couple weeks or so that are more accessible to the public, and so more like public media and more like individuals are actually creating their own essentially like commercials or just kind of funny or convincing deep fakes. So
News, J.K. Rowling's yacht sank with her on board after being attacked by orcas off the coast of Turkey.
News, a Scottish fold cat named Big White has led an army of felines to seize Buckingham Palace, declaring itself the new King of Britain.
a few videos of news broadcasting that are deep fakes, but that are so convincing it actually might scare people a little. And then others are just seen on TikTok. I know there's a couple of researchers that I follow, like Steve Rothji, who's done a couple of essentially just showcasing the power of AI, which is really interesting. And I just want to throw in this story on artificial intelligence, essentially. Um, it can be extremely harmful in actions. And so I just want to talk a little bit about kind of the threats of AI, or what can be seen as like the threats of AI, or persons being essentially like shut down by AI or exposing AI.
Yeah, because there was this story of from the artificial intelligence firm Anthropic,
Hmm.
and they said they were testing a new system, and I guess from what we heard in the report, someone threatened to shut down the new system, and the new AI system responded by threatening blackmail against the person. I think they were going to blackmail them by exposing they had an affair or something like that.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Not a real affair, but they had planted that information in as they're training
wow.
this AI, and the AI, yeah, got angry and was like, "If you no, I have information on you." So it's very Black Mirror.
and Dickie, you had some other stories too, right? To add to what Sydney was
Yeah,
saying
no,
there,
I think this
the
is
AI
such a
dystopia.
sorry. Yeah, I think this is such a important topic, and it really makes me think of like the unknown unknowns. This is we're early days, and when there's so much that there's so much potential, but there's a lot of stuff that we're not thinking of. Sam Altman, who's the CEO of OpenAI, which is the company behind ChatGPT. There's a quote, I think he was giving a kind of a video seminar, but he just basically essentially said that this technology is going to rewrite the social contract. And, he sort of said it as in the future tense, but I think that's already happening. These two articles that I noticed were just with AI, these AI sort of fraudulent scams that are showing the real breakdown of our society, or certainly on systems that are built on, trust and discernment and identity and verification. And so there's one story is of these basically scientific journals are being flooded with AI, like these really low quality AI generated papers that are, mimicking like legitimate jargon for a study, but using completely uh, like false data sets, or just like data sets that are open to the public, and it's making up peer review, and really harming sort of the sci I guess there are could harm our scientific progress in a sense if it's just all sort of built on BS. And then the other story I found that in the state of California, the community colleges are being targeted by these ghost students who are AI generated identities that are stealing financial aid, going through the process of admissions, and someone has designed these AIs, but the AI itself is jamming up admissions and stealing millions of dollars from the community college system. And so, yeah, these two stories to me really represent how, yeah, the social contract is already being unraveled, and it's, we're the systems that, um, yeah, like I said, rely on trust and discernment and the assumption that people are who they say they are completely being exploited, and It's eroding it. And yeah, so people talk a lot about how AI is going to replace our jobs, which is true on all levels, like from truck drivers to entry level white collar jobs. But I think most disturbingly is that it's really unmooring our sense of reality, which the TikTok video of these newscasters that yeah, completely look legitimate, sound very legitimate, and yeah, the story of the kind of fake news that Trump was throwing out there on white genocide, that's only going to get more and more convincing. It'll be harder to detect that a photo is taken out of context when yeah, it's like my eyes, look what I'm looking at. How can I question that? So
Yeah.
um
It strikes me the list you guys provided is really a great example of how much AI is already being integrated into society. But at the same time, being folks who study this stuff, I mean, we know that it gets things wrong. It makes things up. It cannot handle certain tasks. It has limits. Yet the corporate media is really controlling the narrative. It's selling everybody on the idea that this stuff actually is intelligent. And unfortunately, we've talked a lot in this podcast about educators who are burying their head in the sand about AI. I think, though, a lot of the people who are actually paying attention to AI end up kind of being AI enablers. These are folks who kind of act like utopians about the glorification of corporate AI. And I think AI, like I said, is a useful tool. I think there could be some good purposes for humans, but if it's corporate owned and it's solely for profit in its current state, I mean, this is a disaster. And I think we as educators have to alert our students and society to the fact this is not what the PR says it is.
Mm.
Yeah, and the corporate ownership is frightening. And it puts us in a hard position. Like if how do we it's scary to have it in corporate possession because that means with AI technology, the takeover that one corporation can have is frightening. I mean, what like to for Sam Altman, for example, to have so much power. I mean, we've seen what happens when, just look at like what happened when, Elon Musk took over Twitter. Like it's not good when one person or even with Starlink. It's yeah, concentrated power is very frightening. And at the same time, if we limit the ability for these AI tech places to innovate, someone else might come in, and we kind of have to collectively really think about how are we going to put in guardrails and rein in this technology, or just do it to not do it in a way where the society is the sort of like room the lab for experiment. So yeah, it's again, unknown unknowns. I don't even know. I mean, it is frightening, but I don't even know how frightening it could be.
Mm.
So,
Yeah, and for like people who are just trying, like if someone is trying to get past fake news or to discern what is and is not AI, like is there anything people can essentially do to tell the difference?
that
Um,
will be very important.
yeah, no, I think there are. I mean, I think one thing I have said is always we need this is just something from the digital age in general, but practice suspension of judgment. A lot more humility, a lot less narcissism about how little we know about certain topics could go a long way. And not believing everything you see or hear anymore, just because you heard someone's voice or saw a video or saw an image is basically irrelevant at this point. AI has gotten slick enough that we can't. But I mean, I also want to point out a lot of people kind of treat that as doom or gloom. I think that just means that we need more evidence before we draw a conclusion. So you need more corroborating evidence for a supposed video or a supposed image.
Mm.
And I don't know, maybe that's not the worst thing in the world. Maybe people should be conditioned to spend a lot more time researching before they make a judgment. I mean, I know this always in America. We love freedom of speech, and people always say like, "I can freedom of speech. I can share my opinion." So you can share your opinion, but just because there's two or more sides doesn't mean each side has a compelling argument.
Mm.
So I think pushing people to realize that and look for more evidence could go a long way, especially in the AI era.
Yeah, and well, there's even like in the scientific era, like we see so many times, like, I mean, at one point people thought the earth was flat, you know? So I think that we become so convinced of things, or we're rooted in this belief that things are true, and we stop evaluating them. And then all of a sudden we have a society that believes things that are not rooted in reality. They're just rooted in the beliefs of things we think are so. Like, and so I think it is really important, like as you're saying, Nolan, to just be mindful, to be curious, to continue learning. I think a lot of people like kind of get overwhelmed by the amount of information that there is. But I think an inability to keep learning or to stop learning means that you're just accepting things for what other people give you rather than the reality that's around you.
Hey detoxers! Thanks for tuning in. You can find Disinfo Detox on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, and share. Every click helps grow the community and keeps those tech overlords happy. Detox complete.